to have iced whiskey. The finest, the tastiest, brother. Mate, me whiskey is the purest whiskey since Jack Daniels, mate.
Listen, you're
Yeah,
like the great value version of Connor.
appreciate that. Thank you.
My
Appreciate
favorite thing from the press
it.
conference was when he was like, I'm richer than Dana. Dana was like, oh, fuck, bro, you are.
Connor is crazy. Or that's, you know what's the other thing funny, where like the interviewer talked to him and said like, yeah, Khabib said that he will be waiting and see what's next in this, like what will happen in this fight. And Connor said, dude, that's Dana. What Dana said. That's not what Khabib
Yeah,
said.
that's not
That's
what
what.
he said. That's what
Yeah.
Dana
Don't
said.
play this bullshit game with me. I created this bullshit game.
And then they're talking about a tournament. I'm down to see a tournament, man.
Yeah. It is. It is what it is.
It is what it is. You guys heard it from the man, Conor McGregor himself.
Ah.
We're just going to go ahead and jump right into the episode.
Yeah.
I'm keeping all this shit. Fuck it. No countdown today, folks. Here we are, another edition of Native MMA Radio, here to preview UFC 257, headlined by the returning, notorious Conor McGregor taking on Dustin the Diamond Poirier in a very pivotal lightweight rematch, who could very well, the winner could position himself into a title shot next against somebody. Could be for a vacant title. Could be against Khabib Nurmagomedov. They could be fighting each other one more time. We really have no fucking clue.
Well, at the end of the day, we need fights that will give us the Conor against Khabib rematch. That's all we need.
The only thing we know is Dustin versus Conor goes down Saturday night. The UFC has upped the pay-per-view one more time. I'm going to get into this real quick, okay? I just paid for the fucking thing. It was like $75. And don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about paying for them. I pay for every single card. But give me like a package deal where I could buy fucking 3 of them at one time for $150 instead of making me buy fucking one at a time at $75. Dana, you're more worried about the people stealing your fucking cards than you are about the people paying for your cards, bro. Start taking care of us too, okay?
Do people who have like the UFC Fight Pass have like some kind of promo or something? That's what he should do.
Bro,
like,
I got Fight Pass, I got ESPN Plus.
Oh
and so with that, I believe Fight Pass cost me like $60 a year, okay? So whatever. That's like $5 a month. And then ESPN Plus, the same thing. And I have that bundled in with my Hulu and Disney Plus. So it probably comes out to like $3-4 a month. Okay. But still, I gotta pay for every fucking pay-per-view out of pocket. I don't get no like buy 5, get 1 free shit.
And there's no bars, there's no places where you can watch like in groups. So
I honestly, I would rather watch it at my house. I don't gotta deal with the fucking people at the bar. I don't gotta deal with other people who don't understand MMA. I hate when you're at the bar and they're like, stand it up, and you're like, shut the fuck up, bro. They're in the middle of a heel hooks.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? But there's people like who can't afford this shit,
and
so
they
need to
go to this bar. And then the Conor fights as well too. You get every fucking Tom, Dick, and Harry that's ever seen a fight in their entire life talking like they're experts.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that irritates me. But listen, if there was like a package deal, Waleed would probably start buying them too, Dana.
I would not. Yeah. Dana, like when you call out people watching like illegally and stuff like that, you're pointing at me, brother. You're calling me. But you know what? I would tell you something. Like here in France, majority of the pay-per-views, man, they don't pay for it, like because there's like a kind of like an ESPN deal with a different channel here, which is called the SFR, and like it have a lot of with the footballs, even the American football. There's a lot of shit that are there. You know what? Actually, some NFL games are for free in TV here in France, just so you know. So The deal like is for like maybe €20 per month, but there's a lot of like a shitload of channels and stuff like that, and there's the UFC pay-per-views in there. So I don't see how it's fair between France and the US in this sense.
Listen, anyways, I'm done with my rant, Dana. Give us the fucking package deals.
Exactly.
Let's get onto this fight, and really let's talk about just the four of these guys headlining this card real quick. Obviously, Dustin and Connor on the marquee, but you got to look at Hooker and Chandler as well. Chandler making his UFC debut, coming from Bellator, a very decorated lightweight fighter there. Obviously, he was not their lightweight champion coming out of there. He lost that title to Patricio Pitbull, but he did knock out former UFC lightweight champion Vincent Henderson on his way out. My thing to you is if Chandler can get past Hooker, or vice versa, if Hooker gets a big win over Chandler, it really compels or propels either one of those gentlemen. And then you got Gaethje and you got Oliveira. So between these, 6 guys, either one person's got to come out with the title, or one person's going to have to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov. I am very excited about this. This is the best division in the entire sport, hands down. There's no question about it. You look at other organizations, and their 155-pound divisions are stacked. Everywhere, 155-pound divisions are stacked. I mean, you got world-class guys going into bare knuckle because they're like, fuck, man. What am I supposed to do? There's great fighters everywhere in the 155-pound division, in the UFC, Bellator, ONE FC, PFL, fucking everywhere there's fights. Yeah, in your backyard. Like everywhere. The guy down the street probably weighs 155 pounds. It's ridiculous.
Dude, Michael Chandler, we just been talking, ever since we started recording shows, we just been talking about him and the fact that he should join the UFC maybe in every single episode.
I feel like we've done Bellator shows just because Chandler was headlining them.
Exactly. I'm a huge fan of Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler reminds me kind of a prime Chad Mendes. Remember when Chad Mendes was in his prime, when he could wrestle and knock people out? Michael Chandler may be even tougher and maybe even vicious more, and great grappling and striking wise, boxing wise. Michael Chandler is good. Iron Michael Chandler. So yeah, I'm very excited to see him against Dan Hooker. I feel like Michael Chandler can really bring something that this lightweight division, which is maybe one of the toughest division in the world, needed even more.
We'll get into both those two fights in a little bit. Let's go start at the very beginning. The very first fight of the night in the flyweight division, Amir Albazi versus Zhalgas Zurmagomedov. I just fucked that all up. I'm sure you'll correct me right now.
That's not bad, Zhalgas Zurmagomedov.
Listen, Zurmagomedov, 4.4 significant strikes landed per minute. That's huge. The dude goes in there and he is willing to slug it out. He lost his very first fight, but he looked very well doing it. I'm interested to see what he brings to the 125-pound division. Those guys from that region just are terrors in those smaller weight classes, man.
I agree with you. Maybe because
where's all the Dagestani heavyweights?
There's none. Exactly. There's none. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they don't produce enough milk so that people will grow and to have a kind of normal sized people. I don't know what's the deal with, but man, those short guys from Eastern Europe, kind of even from the Middle East, there's some savages. And don't get me even started about Asia and just go watch one championship to see the smaller guy. But anyhow, that's a very good fight to start the division. Personally, you know me, I would rather have heavyweights in the first fight. Dana White, this should be a rule, heavyweights in the first fight. But this is a very, very good fight.
And I want to point out this too. They're starting off the Conor McGregor card. You know that if you are picked to be on this card, that the UFC wants eyes on you. That's why you are put in this position with somebody like Conor McGregor, so he could propel where you are in your status. Obviously, these two young guys. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you at what time the card start, the early prelims in where you are?
For us, I believe it's a normal start time. I want to say like 3:30.
Okay, so I think that maybe for this card, even if it's in Abu Dhabi, they try to make it in a way where it's good for the Americans because it starts at 1 a.m. for me, which is
Yeah.
not a big deal. I can handle it. But man, like at 3 p.m. it started. At 3 p.m. you have like millions watching the McGregor's pay-per-views, man. It's another thing.
100%. So yeah, the early prelims start at 6:30 Eastern. That's 3:30 Pacific, or at least where I'm
Okay.
at. Excited about this fight. Excited about this entire card. Nick Lentz also on the early prelims against Movsar Evolov. I'm excited about Evolov. 13-0,
Oh,
just a terror. What he was able to do. He beat some top names in the since he's been in the UFC in just
yeah.
dominating fashion. Super 3 takedowns per 15 minutes. He's able to defend the takedown very well, and then just what he is able to produce when it comes to strikes per minute is phenomenal. 4.4, especially when you look how many fights he's had. That's a hell of a statistic. And he's a young kid.
Yeah, and I feel like Nick Lenz now he has his back against the wall. He's in a 2 fights losing streak. Maybe a third one will be the too much and maybe get the axe because Nick Lenz been in the UFC ever since I can
Long time.
remember, a long time. So maybe it's time for him to move. But sometimes when fighters they need to fight like for their life, and Nick Lenz is from a generation where they don't give a fuck and they will fight anyone.
Yeah.
Who knows? That's not an easy matchup
There was
for
literally like
Mozart.
the promoters would be like, "Hey, listen, show up on this day, and we'll find somebody for you to fight." They'd be like, "Fuck
Exactly.
yeah, bro, I'm down."
The
Nowadays, tell that to a fighter, they're like, "No, bro, we need to watch tape on the guy. We need to prepare for him. We need to at least have 3 weeks, 4 weeks."
the greatest example is Jake Ellenberger when he needed to win, otherwise he would get fired. He would get cut out the UFC. I think that fight was against, if I'm not wrong, that fight was against Matt Brown. If I'm not sure about that, but I
That's
feel
a
like it was against
beast.
Matt Brown. But yeah, he won that fight when Matt Brown was killing people. So this generation, kind of Nick Lance, Lemberger and stuff like that, if you challenge them too much and like you rub them the wrong way, they can really outperform.
I feel like Cowboys the same way,
Yeah, that
and
UFC
and
kind
those
of
guys are literally a dying breed right now in the UFC. They're on their way out, so enjoy these guys while we have them
exactly,
because we're not going to have them for much longer.
exactly.
Khalil Roundtree Jr. steps back into the octagon against Marcin Prasino. Khalil Roundtree, man, I feel like ever since he's went over to Thailand, it's just looked phenomenal. Obviously, he lost his last fight to Ion Kuntelaba. He is a huge inspiration to a lot of people, Khalil Roundtree Jr. I don't know if
Yes,
you know this, but he has a ton of mental health issues. Maybe not a ton, but he has a lot of mental health issues that, and in what he's able to overcome just to step into the octagon is crazy. Like if you had an anxiety and you had to go step out in front of millions of people who are watching you fight, I mean, it's got to be pretty nerve wracking, man. You got to understand, like, he literally has octagon jitters every time he walks to the cage.
well, anxiety, man. I didn't see any anxiety when he fought against Gokhan Saki. Remember when
No,
Gokhan Saki, Joe Rogan was talking about him in every episodes of his
dude,
podcast, saying
I
that we
remember.
can wait to see him, the great kickboxer. He knocked him out in the first round,
I was
brother.
there.
That perform, I became a huge fan ever
Yeah,
since. That
very,
performance was
very nice performance by him. It was one of those things where it was like, okay, fuck, dude, Khalil Roundtree is dangerous.
very dangerous. Muay Thai, like you said when you talk about his him moving to Thailand, like his Muay Thai video that he's posting when he's training, those are amazing.
Bro,
The
those
kicks,
legs,
everything. Yeah,
those legs throwing kicks properly, dangerous.
that's a very tough fight against Marcin Pacino. I'm not sure. Personally, I would go with Khalil. I feel like Khalil is definitely a savage when it comes to striking, but
Yeah, I
who
have to agree
knows?
with you on that one. Juliana Pena, the Venezuelan vixen, is taking on Sarah McCann. I'm excited about this one. The Venezuelan vixen obviously has looked very well since being in the UFC. Her last two losses to were people like Jermaine Durandame and Valentina Shevchenko. No slouches. She has dealt with some injuries in the past couple of years, but I feel like she's finally got that all figured out, and now she can really put her best foot forward. She is 31 years old, just entering her prime, or, just right in the middle of her prime. I feel like she could really make a move in this women's bantamweight division. And, with the way the champion has really taken out all challengers, could very easily, with a win or two, find herself right there as the number one contender.
Yeah, I feel like Juliana Pena that should be her fight to win, to really go to that next step. But man, this is the type of fight that is very tough to call, like to give a prediction or something like that, because it can really go either way. You never know how this fighter will actually perform in the cage. Sometimes it go their way, sometimes it go the opposite way. So I know that it will be a fun fight, that's for sure, but that will not be a walk in the park for Juliana Pena.
No, definitely a fun fight. That would be one that I circled as soon as I was looking at the card. This next one is also another one I circled, man. Brad Tavares, Antonio Carlos Jr. I love watching Brad Tavares fight. He gave Israel Adesanya a very good 5-round fight. What he has been able to do, though, before fighting Adesanya was really impressive. He's lost his last two, obviously. He lost to Edmund Shabazian. Shabazian went in there and literally took him out. Ever since that, though, he has taken time off and has really evolved himself into a completely different fighter. Training over there at Extreme Couture. We just talked about Extreme Couture in our last video when it came to Ike Villanueva. These guys know what they're doing down there. When you have other big guys like Villanueva and Puliana Soriano down there, you have Coco Bombs down there. These guys are really going in there and making each other better every single day.
A lot of fighters coming out from Extreme Couture fighting in big cards in the UFC, actually.
Yes, a lot of Hawaiians too.
Yeah, and Antonio Carlos Jr., man, I just need to point out something. Antonio Carlos Jr., man, imagine being him. Imagine winning against Marvin Vettori, who became one of the hottest fighters in his division in 2020.
Yeah.
And he have a Brazilian kind of big rivalry with fuck his name. I have with Costa. He had a big rivalry with Costa.
Yeah,
People don't know.
Back from their Ultimate Fighter days, they were on opposite teams with the Chael Sonnen and Vanderlei Silva when they faced off in the Ultimate Fighter Brazil.
I feel like if you want to become successful or win at this game, you need either to have a rivalry with this guy or lose to him. Like, if you lose to him, I think you should be celebrating. Because at this point, man, everything he's touching touches turn to gold, I feel like.
No, 100%. Arman Sarukian is taking on Matt Frevola, the steamroller Matt Frevola. Super excited for this one, man. And Matt Frevola 8-1. We had him on the show. Super excited to see what he's able to bring to the tables. I like his fighting style, and I'm excited to see what he's able to do.
Yeah, very interesting matchup. Another Russian. I feel like every time they're fighting in Abu Dhabi, you have all the Russian from the Dagestani kind of Chechen region fighting. So yeah, very interesting matchup. Matt Frevola, what do you think? How is he ready for this fight?
This is a replacement fight. You know that, right? He was supposed to be Frevola when he went down there. Was supposed to be fighting. Who is it? Ottoman.
He is Arman. He's fighting against Arman, right?
No, he's fighting somebody else now.
Oh, really?
Yes, they just put this fight. Sorry, I was looking for all the information right now because when I seen the name, it threw me off. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. Right here. Okay, so Ottoman Azatar was who he was supposed to face. That was scratched. That's why he was moved off of the main card. Remember, you and I talked about that he was originally on the main card when we interviewed him last week. That's what I remember him talking, because Ottoman is undefeated, and he was talking about being very interested to take that O from him. And then, as you look, obviously,
he's fighting against
Mr.
another Arman.
Arman Sarkadze and Ottoman and Arman, they're similar, very different though. But they just got this fight. Let's see.
Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't notice that.
So they literally just signed this fight yesterday.
Okay, and wow. That's a good thing that actually they're fighting on Sunday so that he have more time, maybe, to rest and stuff like that.
Andrew Sanchez and the Makhmed Muradov fight has been promoted from the early prelims to the main card. So they switch spots.
Yeah, that's good. So we will see how he will, because that's a big change actually to have a change like that, like a couple of days before. That's a good thing. That's what I actually like Matt, because the fact that he doesn't care and that he will fight against another one, because that's what he should do. This is a McGregor card. You need to fight. There's no, if my opponent, I will not change and I will not fight another one. You should be fighting. If they tell you fight against, I don't know, against a fucking bear, you fight against the bear, because this is a McGregor card. You know that everybody will be watching.
Now I'm very confused. Was it Nasrat on this card?
Nasrat? Maybe officially in the beginning, maybe, but a lot of, lately a lot of fights get moved and stuff like that. So, but not in this, not right now. Nasrat is not in this card right now.
Yeah, no. Today he was pulled from the card today.
Oh.
Nasrat was scheduled to face Arman Sarkisian, the guy who is now facing Matt Favola. Okay. On January 24th at UFC 257. However, on the day of the weigh-ins, Nasrat was pulled out of the fight citing illness. Crazy. So you see, anything can happen in the UFC. Two lightweight matchups fall apart, and they just put those guys together to make it work, man. It's crazy times in the UFC, and luckily everyone's in a bubble and they're able to make it work. But a crazy turn of events for these guys. So when I read it right now, it threw me off. I was like, wait a second, that's not the fight. And then I remembered that Arman obviously originally had a fight. And then I remembered Nasrat was on this card. So now it all makes sense. Nasrat was pulled. The other guy was pulled. Otto was pulled. And now it's Matt Favola versus Arman. Crazy, man.
Kudos for Matt and Arman for accepting to fight, man.
Because you see a lot of guys in those situations where they're like, man, fuck that.
They understand the game. They understand this is a McGregor fight, the McGregor card. This is a big pay-per-view, and you should be fighting. They understand the game, and both of them are very smart, and I hope for them that they will perform very well.
Yeah, wild. This literally happened within the last 24 hours. At like 7 o'clock this morning, Ottoman was pulled off. And then Nasrat was just called off recent, like maybe 15, 20 minutes ago.
Oh, crazy.
Crazy,
I didn't know that. I didn't know
how things change, man. The UFC ever changing. Now let's jump right into this main card, man. Mariana Rodriguez taking on Amanda Ribas. Amanda Ribas 10-1, Marina 12-1-2. I am excited about what Ribas brings to the table, and I really like this fight for her. Obviously, getting the fight to the ground, I feel like, is going to benefit Amanda Ribas. I feel like she could finish this fight standing as well, though. I do want to point out this is at the strawweight fight. Amanda Ribas last fought at 125 pounds.
This is a very good fight because this is between two fighters that are not far from a title picture, So Amanda Ribas, man, her last fight against Paige Van Zandt, she looked amazing. I remember,
and then she was able to do against Mackenzie Dern. I mean, people do not do that to Mackenzie Dern.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a very, very interesting matchup. This is a very big match.
Marina too, like she beat up Tecia Torres. I mean, a lot of girls don't beat up Tecia Torres.
Exactly. First thing I need to say, because a lot of female fighters, like their MMA record doesn't look that good. They have many losses. Mm-hmm. These two doesn't have a lot of losses. So
I believe the reason of that is because there's only so many top level girls. So right away, the second you get into the UFC, you're fighting girls might have already been there for 10 fights and who are literally game opponents. So there's no easy fights, especially for the women in the UFC. I feel like you're thrown literally to the wolves the second you get in there, unless you're in like the 145-pound division.
And they have been fighting against top contenders, and they've been winning. That's what I mean. Because to have that kind of almost perfect record is very impressive in these divisions.
Who do you got in that one between Amanda Ribas and Marina?
You know what? I would go maybe with Amanda Ribas. I feel like maybe her ground game is better.
We're just agreeing on everything here today, Waleed. Crazy times here on Native MMA Radio. Andrew Sanchez and Makhmud or Muradov. Obviously, we just talked about these guys being bumped up due to all the changes on the card with the lightweights. Excited about this one. I like Andrew Sanchez. I like what he brings to the table. Wellington Turman, I thought, was a big test for him in his last fight, and he literally passed that with flying colors, knocked out Wellington Turman. The only loss on his record in his last 5 fights, Marvin Vettori. I feel like that's a common guy who we've been talking about here lately a lot today.
The Italian dream, man. But Mahmoud, man, impressive MMA record. He's in I don't know how many fight winning streak, maybe 10, maybe even better, maybe even more. Third fight in the UFC now. He won against Alessio Di Circo. He won against Trevor Smith. The guy is
he's
no joke. We saw that last week. He's no joke, and so
his record isn't great in the UFC, but obviously what he was able to do against Buckley, and Buckley with all the hype in the world, literally just snatched that shit from him.
Alessio Di Circo is a savage, but so Mahmoud is very, very tough competition. I feel like this is the type of fight that maybe they will try to push Mahmoud for a bigger picture, to push him in the main card like that lately, maybe in the 2 days before the fight actually. So that's good. I feel like he should capitalize on that and really
being on a main card for Conor McGregor is not fucking to ever gawk at. Like that's a huge and they're not opening the card, but they're the second fight, so they're really setting the tempo to get into that Chandler fucking Hooker fight. Now, God damn, it's a great fight. Who do you got in this one between Andrew Sanchez and Makhmedov Muradov?
I feel like Muradov, this is his time. I feel like everything is going his way. He wasn't in the main card, now he's the main card. I feel like it's his time, and that should be a big night for him.
And like all other good things, everything must come to an end. And I'm going to have to disagree with you, sir. Andrew Sanchez has just been on a roll lately. Like what he was able to do against Wellington Turman. Here's going to be the key to victory, in my opinion, for Sanchez. Takedowns. I know. I'm crazy. I just said for him to take down a guy from that area. But listen, okay? I really think that if he was able to take him down, he could use his collegiate wrestling to control him. And I think that would be a huge tell in where he should be lining up next in the middleweight division.
Man, this is a very, very interesting card. Like the next fight, man. Even the next fight is no joke.
A great women's flyweight bout between Jessica Evil Eye and Joanne JoJo Calderwood. Let's just go a little deeper into this rivalry. Okay, these are crosstown gyms. Extreme Couture and Syndicate do not like each other. Both based out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Both these two gyms are not friendly. There has been huge competition between all of them as of late. Especially those two, they literally, both of them want to be represented as the best gym in Vegas, but, they've been going back and forth. Here is the top women flyweights from both those gyms, respectively, facing off with huge implications for that title.
Huge, man, huge. Personally, I feel like the UFC wants JoJo to win because Jessica, we already had her fighting for the belt, and we've seen what happened against Valentina.
Listen, you can wear a bulletproof vest all you want, but you can't put one on your head.
Exactly, headshot, man. And JoJo, she's the kind of fighter that is not. She's great, but she's not that far from being that level where she can actually fight for the belt. So if she performs very well in this fight, It all depends in this fight. If she performs very well, we can be talking about a title fight between her and Valentina. We've been talking about a title fight between her and Valentina beforehand. So if she wins this fight, UFC, I think, will be pushing for it.
It's super interesting, especially when you look at, like we talked about with Amanda Nunes. Valentina has taken out every other flyweight that's even came close to this title. So when you're a female who hasn't fought her yet, it takes 2 wins. That's all it takes. It takes 2 wins against 2 top women, and you're right there in the thick of things. And Joanne's already been there. So it's literally, Joanne Calder was the type of girl where all you need to do is win one. You just gotta win one. If you do that shit fucking half-ass good, if you just get a finish against Jessica Eye, you will be next in line for Valentina Shevchenko. Do they have anybody lined up for Valentina right now? I don't believe they have anybody. So she's looking for a potential opponent. Somebody show her something amazing.
Yeah, that fight is amazing.
Jessica Eye or Joanne Calderwood, who walks out of UFC 257 one step closer to their title shot?
I personally think that it's Jojo time. I feel like Jojo should be fighting for the belt against Valentina. I'm not saying that Jojo would perform well, but that's what we need. We need to feed fresh blood to the champion.
I have to agree with you. I love fresh matchups, especially when you're talking about Valentina and talk about Amanda Nunes. I want to see something different. Jojo Calderwood would be something different. I don't know if that's the exact skill set to get past the very dominant flyweight champion, but you never know. We won't know till we see it, I guess, right?
Yeah, we will see.
Now, here we go, man. Time. Let's get down to it. The 2 most important matchups of this entire card. We have a phenomenal main event, but we're not going to quite talk about that yet because the co-main event is just that so much fucking good. Like, it's literally better than most co-main events, even when they have titles on the line. Okay? Like, I'm going to even go that far and say that. This is how good this division is. Chandler's never fought in the UFC before, and Hooker's like number 6. That's how deep this shit is. That when you put these 2 people together, the anticipation and fanfare for this fight is through the roof. This fight could literally catapult one of these guys into a title shot with Khabib Nurmagomedov. He's already said it. If they did something amazing, they could very potentially be those guys. Hooker has already beaten the number 1 contender in the welterweight division. Okay, let me just point that out. The dude is no slouch. Hooker is also the tallest opponent that Michael Chandler has ever faced. I don't think a lot of people are putting that in perspective. Hooker is not a guy who is very easy to take down. And once you take him down, he's not a very good a guy that you can hold down. You know what I'm saying? He has I believe it's a 79% takedown defense. Okay. He's only lost to top talent. He lost Barboza and he lost to Poirier.
Yeah.
He's beat Felder. He beat Ian Kunta and he beat James Vick. Very nasty.
He even beat Gilbert Burns.
Yeah, well, he even beat Gilbert Burns, man. And that is no short order. He literally knocked Gilbert Burns out of the division.
No, may I defend my client? I feel like Michael Chandler is my client. I've been pushing for him to come to the UFC. If you think that Hooker have a great takedown defense, which he has, I would suggest you to go watch Michael Chandler rolling in the ground with the great Kamaru Usman.
You're absolutely right. I'm glad you gave the champion his due.
Go watch Michael Chandler wrestling with Kamaru Usman and making Kamaru Usman look human, which nobody does. Nobody does when it comes to wrestling. And Kamaru Usman said in the Joe Rogan experience that Michael Chandler is, like, from all the people he rolled with, Michael Chandler is the toughest one. So, short, yes, but I would give you another short guy that's been fighting against tall guy his whole career, Daniel Cormier. He's been fighting against taller guy his whole career. Sometimes as a wrestler, fighting against a way taller guy is even better to shoot for the double leg.
Yeah, so you're already at the legs.
So, and Michael Chandler, man, that's what he needs to do. People knows about the power of Michael Chandler when it comes to the striking. He have that crazy knockout power, yes, but his grappling, man, that his wrestling is through the roof. His level is through the roof. So, very interesting matchup. I know that Dan Hooker actually can get him like with a knee or something like that, because
Very beautiful
Hooker
knees down the
very
middle, man.
beautiful
I
knees
feel
and
like that could be and I'm glad you brought that up. That could be a huge game changer. Even if Chandler takes him down for 3 rounds, if Hooker is able to land one of those knees, you've seen how a devastating knee puts a wrestler on his back. You've seen it. Masvidal did it to Benson Henderson. Do you think if Chandler lost to Hooker, it would be a huge letdown to his legacy? Or do you feel like he could still bounce back? Do you feel like Michael Chandler needs this fight more than Hooker needs it?
I think Dan Hooker, you know what? I agree with you, because it's like the same scenario that we had with Ben Askren when he came to the UFC. He needed to win his first fight, or people will be talking shit about him. Now, Ben Askren is kind of different, because Ben Askren been talking shit about the UFC, about Dana White, ever since like he was born, I feel like. Right. Michael Chandler, on the other hand, if he wins against Dan Hooker...
Respectfully of the UFC, though.
Chandler, if he wins against Hooker, he will be fighting for the belt, either against Khabib or if Khabib vacate the belt. If he loses, he will still be able to fight against top contenders, but that title fight, man, will be a little bit tough to get against. At 34-year-old, that will be a problem.
I think all the pressure is on Michael Chandler, and I think the Hangman's going to capitalize. I have Dan Hooker winning this fight.
Really?
Yes. I'm a huge Chandler fan. I just feel like all the pressure is on him, and you have a very relaxed young New Zealander in there ready to take his head off.
Yeah, for sure. There's pressure. Michael Chandler, but never fought in the UFC. That's his first UFC fight. But the level of competition that Michael Chandler faced in Bellator against top contenders, that if they come in the UFC, they would be in the top 5. So Benson Henderson was champion in the UFC. He was one of the best, maybe champion in the lightweight division. People would agree about it, but he was a very smart guy, one of the smartest MMA fighter, maybe.
Sanity.
Yeah, with those jabs in the leg. Nobody did that. I never saw that. People punching like the leg. Anyhow, Michael Chandler, man. For me, he will win this fight. I'm not sure of how he will win, if he will just like take the fight to the ground many times, or he will win by knockout. But I think that he will go to decision. It will be a tough fight.
Winning by knockout. If he wins this fight, I could see him getting a big knockout.
He can.
He's got power in his hands for sure. It's undeniable.
I see him taking to the ground Dan Hooker and making him tired, and then maybe when it comes to the third, if there's for another hand, if the opportunity comes, he will get the finish. So personally, I will go with Chandler. You will go with Dan Hooker. Of course, you will not pick the same thing.
Can't do it all the time.
We cannot.
Here we are. The entire card is built around one man, one fight. The notorious Conor McGregor embarks on yet another opportunity for a title shot. Conor McGregor steps up and takes on a very dangerous Dustin the Diamond Poirier. Both these men at lightweight are phenomenal. Conor has only fought in the division officially twice, right? He beat Eddie. He lost to Khabib. Dustin, though, has fought multiple times in this division, and he's beaten the who's who in this division. He's already beaten Hooker. He's already beaten Justin Gaethje. He beat Eddie Alvarez on his way out, and he beat arguably the greatest featherweight of all time, Max Holloway.
Yeah.
Only person he's lost to in his last 5 fights is Khabib Nurmagomedov. Conor has lost to Khabib and Nate Diaz in his last fights. Both of these guys seem like they have evolved from their last fight. Both of them seem like they have filled out into their body. I feel like the ceiling for Conor McGregor, though, is just so much higher than the ceiling for Dustin Poirier. Yeah. I feel like no matter how good Dustin's going to get, you're always going to see Conor prevail. I don't see Dustin Poirier winning this fight unless he somehow gets like a knockout, like a one-punch knockout, like a huge devastating thing. All I see is straight past the victory for Conor McGregor. He's too fast. He's too agile. He moved in and out too well. And he seems so focused.
Yeah. Dustin Poirier wants a war. That's what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And just go and see his fights that were actually war. Eddie Alvarez 1 and 2, Justin Gaethje, Dan Hooker, Max Holloway. Those were like 4, 3 rounds, 5-round wars. And, when it comes to wars, Dustin Poirier is one of the best fighters. But to get to that war zone, you
have to put yourself in situations where you're gonna get knocked out by Conor
exactly.
McGregor.
And Conor McGregor is one of the greatest counter striker in the history. So
and he's precise. He's so precise with his striking. It's like I don't even know what his striking accuracy is. It's only actually 49%. Crazy. Dustin Poirier is around the 50. But what he's able to do and how he lands it, it's literally life-changing when he lands that left hand. Look at Jose Aldo.
Exactly. That first round, man.
Eddie Alvarez has not looked the same since he was embarrassed by Conor.
Never looked the same. And, that first round, man, Dustin Poirier, he needs to be very smart when he advanced to try to bring that fight, because Conor, if he not he have that ability to fight backwards, so if you advance, he will move backwards and then like throw that left hook or something like that. That's tough, man. That's tough for Dustin. It's
so hard to try to predict what Conor's going to do, though. Look at the Donald Cerrone fight, just so uncharacteristic. Shoulder strikes, huge head kick. When have you seen Conor throw a head kick like that?
We've seen some kicks from Conor, but
not like that. Not a head kick, man. I was like, wow, super impressive. We just seen a whole different layer of this onion, and I feel like it's the same thing again. You're gonna pull back just another layer. I feel like Conor McGregor has this one. I can't wait to see the fight, though. It's gonna be an amazing fight, back and forth between these two. Dustin Poirier has got to get through those first 2 rounds. If he gets through those first 2 rounds, I like his chances slightly better.
More chances.
Not a whole lot better.
But he has more chances to win.
But definitely. I feel like if he lets Conor touch him up in those first 2 rounds, it's over.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't see how Dustin can actually win this fight. I don't see how this fight will be any different from the first one. Yes, Dustin evolved. Yes, Dustin became a better fighter. Yes, Dustin in lightweight is better than Dustin in featherweight. But Conor also evolved,
Everything
man.
you just said, you can also say about Conor McGregor.
And even say it for more, because who Dustin fought against after Conor? Yeah, he fought against tough competition, but Conor fought against Jose Aldo, against Eddie Alvarez, because he won 2 belts. It's different. Personally, I would go with Conor in this fight. A lot of people would go with Conor in this fight, actually, which is kind of normal. When you fight against a guy that is hittable, a guy that he can be hit, Conor McGregor usually outclassed that guy.
3 fights to look forward to on this card if you don't have anything left about the main fight.
Well, except the main event, because, the main event...
we both know, obviously.
Yeah, okay. Except the main event. I personally would go with the co-main event. Michael Chandler, first fight in the UFC.
Yes.
I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. He should be fighting in 2020. Then there was some delay. Now he's fighting in a big card. He get what he deserved. Let's see if he can shine. Sarah McMahon against Juliana Pena. Juliana Pena, if she wins this fight, that could be huge for her. Mm-hmm. This female in the females division, 1 win in a big fashion can really send you to the moon, and like you can get to that title fight picture. And for the third fight, man, you know what? I would go with Antonio Carlos Jr. against Brad Tavares. I feel like Antonio Carlos Jr. must be a little bit angry seeing all the other people getting success and not him. You know what I mean? I think he should be frustrated, and he should be showing it in this fight.
I'm going to go with Khalil Roundtree Jr. versus Marcin Prochinov. Obviously, we talked about Khalil Roundtree Jr. in the evolution that he's been able to go through at light heavyweight. Every time he steps into the cage, he's an inspiration as well for mental health awareness. Just an amazing man, an amazing fighter. The ladies. Let's talk about the ladies real quick. Two great women's, one flyweight, one strawweight matchup. Marina Rodriguez and Amanda Ribas to open up the main card. I really feel like it's going to set the tone for the night, and it could potentially be the fight of the night, if not at least a beautiful performance of the night. Jessica Ai versus Joanne Calderwood literally has title implication written all over it. Now, we talk about the top two fights being huge title implications. Also, though, this women's flyweight title, the number one contender, could very easily be on the line here on Saturday night as Jessica Ai and Joanne Calderwood get locked in there. An amazing performance, and they could be looking at the Valentina Shevchenko crossing them in their very next fight.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. This card is amazing.
Yeah, 100%. It's stacked up and down. Anything else for UFC 257?
Well, I think that we talked about everything that should be talked about in this card. I actually just want to point out something. I'm not sure if did you watch the Ariel Helwani's interviews that he did with McGregor, John Kavanagh, and his boxing coach?
I seen the one with Connor. I did not see the one with all three of them.
Okay, so he did an interview with John Kavanagh, and at some point, John Kavanagh said that for this fight, they trained orthodox stand. And when he said that, Kavanagh like he flinched, and then he said like to Ariel like if he can cut it. Ariel Helwani, being the fucking reporter that he is, he didn't cut it from the interview. Okay, so I'm not sure if it was a joke. If Kavanagh did, but Kavanagh usually don't do that. He's not that type of character. So I don't see how this changes anything. Connor training orthodox or southpaw, but you know it is what it is. It's a detail that maybe needed to be mentioned because Ariel Helwani was supposed to cut it from the interview. Of course he did not, because of course, yeah, he is a scumbag. So we will see.
Interesting, man. That guy, Ariel, always getting into some shit.
Oh,
I like him. I ain't that mad, though, because honestly, that dude literally, he puts his foot in his mouth, but we need that shit. We need to know what's really going on.
He provides you with drama.
The truth.
You didn't even know that you needed. Exactly.
He provides us with the truth. I love guys like Ariel. You know what? Listen, I might hate on the schmo. I might talk some shit about the schmo. I like the schmo, though. I like the schmo, okay? I will fight that motherfucker just because I want to punch him in his face. I've even met the guy in real life. Nice guy. Cool cat. His old lady's really nice. But something about him.
He's a character. He's a character.
That's what it is, bro. He's a character.
Fighters love him.
Yeah, but that's all he is. He's a character. He couldn't make it as David. He had to make it as a schmo.
He had to do what he had to do to get that paycheck.
For sure. Anything else on the fight, man?
Nothing. This is the McGregor time. You know, the hype every day, every minute, the hype is more and more and more. It's building up. So personally, I can't wait for this fight.
There you guys have it. You knuckleheads, stay fucking classy this Saturday. Enjoy the fights. Don't go out to your local bar and beat somebody up. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Be good and stay classy.
Peace.